Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Grimm Chronicles for this week. I am drawing a little bit of a blank on the number, 21. So I almost feel like I need to preface everything I say in this episode. Do not hold anything I say in this video against me because I'm extremely tired, exhausted from these long teaching sessions that are taking a lot out of me. So, but I could sort of tell as I got ready for this, I still want to do it, I still want to, even though it's going to be a little loopy perhaps, I still kind of want to, chat about what I'm reading. Kind of helps with the accountability and just to kind of refresh my memory. So in a way, the main thing that has been consuming my reading is the audio of Crossroads. Such an interesting book. I go back and forth between it's a 5-star and I love it, and then I think maybe not, maybe it's just a 4-star. And I think it's a problem with the book that has different perspectives. It goes from one person to another, and then we see sort of their trajectory, and we see things from their point of view to a certain extent. And so you kind of, or I at least, have my favorites, or I just find different people interesting. Although I do have to say, so the person that sort of I've found the most annoying, as you may know, is the husband. Is his name Russ? I think it is. Russ is the pastor's name, and then Rick is the one who comes in. Russ is the one who interacts with the Navajo and kind of got to know them quite well in his youth. And we get his background, which is Mennonite, Indiana Mennonite, very sheltered, very strict. And then he kind of breaks out via, I think, a youth camp going to Arizona. And so in a way, even though I still don't like him, his way of seeing the world and his sort of obsession with women in a kind of superficial way does make sense that he would be that way from his background. And so I do understand him better. But to me, the most interesting character is his wife, Marion. She's by far the more interesting of the two to my mind. And so their relationship is actually very interesting and kind of goes through these really quite intriguing evolutions, and it's quite well done. So I do think it's a good novel. I think some of the kids are less interesting. For some reason, the daughter's story is becoming less compelling. But maybe that's just because of my preferences. And so the path she's taking is sort of a little bit irritating to me, but that could be because I know why I identify with her brother. There's an older brother who also doesn't understand what she's done. And he's quite interesting. And then of course there's the other brother who has more serious issues. And it's quite well done, but I think in a way the kids are less, their narratives seem less compelling, or perhaps even not as well done. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'll have to get back to you on that. But it is a very good novel, and it's working quite well as an audio. I do think his voice is a little. At some points when some of the people he uses a voice that reminds me of David Sedaris, a kind of almost overly, and I think it's just the way it sounds for some of the people. And the women's voices, he sort of makes himself sound like a woman in a kind of a little bit of an annoying way. But in general, and I'm sorry, I should tell you who the narrator is. I'll see if I can look it up and put it in the show notes. I apologize for not remembering that. He's fairly good. I mean, he's pretty good. I mean, he doesn't bother me. So yeah, so that's kind of, and I've been listening to it a lot. And for the first time, I sort of decided to try, because I pushed it up to speed a little bit, and slow reader Kathy doesn't really do that. But because I kind of was hoping maybe I would even get it done by today, which I'm not quite done with it, I did go up to 1.4 at sometimes, and it's funny how that changes how you take it all in, because it's kind of coming at you in this condensed way. which in one case with one of the characters, it kind of makes sense because of what they're going through, that they would be like on speed. But in general, I'm not a big fan of it. So I go between, I think the highest I went was 1.7. And then I went back to 1.4. It's a little bit more because the 1 is pretty slow in this case. It's not always the case. Sometimes people read fast anyway. And I've been listening to it quite a lot whenever I do my chores or sometimes when I'm walking, although in a way I don't really like listening to it when I'm walking because I do want to be aware of my surroundings. So that's been going quite well. And so people are walking past and I don't want them to see me doing this, but it's fine. Let's see, what else? A little bit of a haul, mini haul here. Oh, first off, flights is still on the docket. I haven't given up on it, even though it's slow. I'm about 110, and it's a very strange, disjointed narrative. It's really, there's not much of a through thread. We haven't come back to the person who has his family missing, but you do find yourself trying to make connections. And yeah, sort of connecting the disparate little narratives of things. And I think the writing's quite good, and it still kind of is, I don't want to give up on it. I do like it, even though I'm reading it very slowly. And sorry I don't have much more to say about it, but it is kind of hard to summarize because it's all over the place. It's about, well, at some point I'll give you, well, this is about belly dancing, this one. And then there's something about relics, which is kind of strange, sanitary pads. Yeah, it's really all over the place. It really is. In pursuit of night, so sleeping. Yeah. Narcissism or autism, purging the map. If something hurts me, I erase it from my mental map. Places where I stumbled, fell, where I was struck down, cut to the quick, where things were painful, such places are simply not there any longer. Which is sort of one way to deal with things, type of repression, I guess. So it kind of gives you a lot to think about, even if its narrative isn't really coherent. It's more like impressionistic. Now, the books I have bought are very few, basically because I haven't had the time or energy, and I'm also kind of a little bit lazy about sending stuff back. I had one bad experience where someone else sent a package back that I gave them, and it was completely, it had other things other than books, and it wasn't just a pure book package, but it did get opened and it was sent to China or something because there was all kinds of weird things in it and there was some things missing. So since I've had that one bad experience, and granted I didn't send the package, someone else did, I'm leery of sending my own self stuff. I even sort of vaguely asked one bookstore if they would send me the things because I know that, you know, I think I've mentioned that before, that a bookstore in Washington did that for me, but then I just got so consumed with teaching that I haven't had a lot of time or energy to shop for books. So I don't even know. I'm trying to remember where I got these. Oh yeah, one time when I had a little bit more time and energy, I went to one of the bookstores, and so these are these cheap Reklam books that people who study German literature know about, and they're very, very handlich, as we say, very portable. And I have a lot of them in my office. You may have seen pictures of the yellow books. So I just picked up 3 that I may even have at school. See, it doesn't really matter. They're so little. So a very canonical German writer who I do adore and haven't read, and this is one I haven't read of his. This is a play by Heinrich von Kleist, the brilliant, tormented poet, well, not poet, dramatist and story writer. Stories in one novella at least, short stories and dramatist. And this is his Penthesilea, a Greek mythology plot. The coming together of Achilles and the Amazon queen Penthesilea on the battlefield of Troia. And yeah, so this apparently when it first came out was controversial because of his depiction of the antique was not to the liking of other writers, probably Goethe, what they're thinking here, maybe Schiller. Psychological soul drama, love, hate, eros, and violence are all intertwined. And his language is just amazing and strange, and I love it. and I haven't read this one. I don't think I have. If I have, it's a very long time ago. And I was sort of under the perhaps illusion that I would have time to dip into it now here, but I'm not sure. But we'll see. I'll just take it with me. And the other one I got was one that I'm ashamed to say I haven't read yet, and it's actually in the Penguin collection of fairy tales that I showed a while ago when I was teaching fairy tales, because it was the Penguin where we do Undine, Undine, and it also has Goethe's fairy tale in it, which I have never read. Shh, don't tell anyone. Märchen, das Märchen from Goethe, so I really need to read that one. Oh, it's taken from a longer novella cyclus, discussions or chats with German immigrants. Interesting, yeah. So I definitely need to get this read. And it even has an afterword and a commentary on the text. Sorry, I'm taking off the sticker here. And, you know, these little ones, this was €3.60, new. I mean, it's new, but it is just very little. But I love how you can mark it up, you can, you know, it's very sort of readable. And it's a short little novella, this fairy tale. It's called Fairy Tale, The Fairy Tale. And I'm glad I got that. And the last one, which I just started reading, because I had started reading it before and I haven't gotten very far, is E.T.A. Hoffmann's The Golden Pot, which I think I have read, but so long ago that I barely remember it. He's sort of the high romantics, the later romantics, no longer the early German romantics. He's responsible for the Nutcracker story, and of course the Tales of Hoffmann, that, what's his name, Jacques Offenbach. I think that it includes Sandmann too, I'm not sure. And sorry, people going in, so sticky beaking. So this is one that I really do want to read again. I'm not a big fan of his style, which is overly ornate for me. I don't really, I mean, I can deal with it because it's 19th century romanticism, so it is like Undine, it's sort of over the top, but it's not really, I mean, I read it and I enjoy it, but I don't really enjoy it that much. It's not my, I don't know, I like a more modernist style, or just less raw. I mean, I'm much more a fan of something like Kleist, much more up my alley. But, you know, but nevertheless, this is a good yarn once I get into it. And today, finally, I made it to the two, so on the street where I teach, there are two antiquariate, secondhand bookstores, and they're very strange, but, well, the people in them, so they're right next to each other. And I mean, if I had time and energy, but one of them is always empty, and the guy in there is just, we have to just say that he is a bit of an eccentric. He seems to be in his own little world, and he doesn't really, it's not in the sort of, oh, inviting me to stay away. It's more of a, why are you here? Get out of my face. I have to deal with things. And, you know, he was on the phone and he was upset about something, and he kept saying the German word bodenlos, as in groundless, in the sense of shocking, and it's usually used with bodenlose Frechheit, like an inconceivable, the inconceivable cheek of someone. And apparently he was having trouble with his bank, and he was just very, very distraught about all of that. And I was like meekly looking around, and his books really seemed to focus more on nonfiction, which I'm not that interested in. So a lot of philosophy and history. I did see some novels, but none of the ones that I was interested in, except I did see this one by Arno Schmidt, whom I haven't read a lot of, but I want to read more. And this looked really interesting. It's a new copy, more or less. And I think it cost maybe it was just new, because it kind of cost the same as what it says on the back here. Or maybe it was cheaper. I'm not sure, I can't remember. Anyway, I sort of meekly took this up to him and said, and he was saying, bodenlos. I said, can I buy this book, please? And so, I mean, he did, of course, sell it to me, but he seemed sort of almost irritated that he had customers, if you get my drift. And I don't know, I want a bookstore to be cozy, and you have the sense that you're allowed to browse, and there's cats there, and you don't get that sense from this person at all. You feel kind of strange in this space with all these books and no one else, and he's sort of all frustrated and flustered. I mean, I have a feeling if I lived here longer, or kind of could go there more often and establish more of a rapport with him. And then outside he has a whole shelf that I didn't quite realize were the cheap ones for €2, and I didn't have time or energy to look at them much either. The other one is also, it's a beautiful, the next one is a little bit further up, and it's a beautifully, very neat store, and his novels are all alphabetized, and he's very sweet. And he does seem to have, sort of focus on art. And he sort of sits there behind his little glass enclave since COVID. And then you go look for books. And then I always ask him, well, do you have books by this person? And he had 2 books by an author I'm interested in. Wolfgang Hellbig, because of seeing BookTube. But both of them were signed to someone else. So Hellbig had signed these books to someone else. And so therefore, these thin little paperbacks that should have cost €3 were 25 euros, which is still not that much considering they were signed. But I said to him, you know, I just want to read him. I don't really need a signed copy. Do you have anything unsigned that's cheaper? And he came up and he looked and said no. And then the other one I was interested in, I thought he might, you know, have some, is the Norwegian writer that I'm interested in reading in German, just because, but I guess I might just read him in English. So John Fosse, F-O-S-S-E, Fosse. And he didn't have any of him either. And so the only book I did buy there is one of my favorite authors, the one who wrote Jahrestage, Anniversaries, Uwe Jansson's other small book about Ingrid Babenderade. I don't know how to say it. Funny name. Babenderade. And I know I will love this because I love everything he writes. I'm a big fan of him. And this one was €3, so, you know, good price for a secondhand book that's unmarked, but a little colored. The paper looks unfresh. And so that's about it in terms of everything for this week. I hope to be able to rest over the weekend. Whitsunday is a day off on Monday. The Holy Spirit needs to come down after Christ went up on the other holiday. And then later on is, I hate to be sacrilegious, but we call it the one that comes up later in June, Fronleichnam, we call it Jolly Body, because it's basically Happy Corpse Day. And I guess I don't know the liturgical significance of that one either. Something about the body of Christ. Fronleichnam, I don't know. All of these holidays that America, of course, doesn't have. America has Memorial Day and then 4th of July, you know, it's very different vibe. Germany is still very much guided by, you know, the Christian liturgical calendar. Even though, you know, you walk around and it is very diverse, much more diverse. Well, it's always been pretty diverse, but it's even more diverse now with all the various refugee waves that have come in. So yeah, it's kind of funny. That's all I have for you guys for this week. I hope everyone's doing well. Thank you for watching and commenting on my Germany vlogs. At some point I will have the energy to do another one. And at least one outing has been planned or is in the making, and I'm looking forward to that very much, and also to who I will be chatting with. And another one probably won't work because it was supposed to be over Whitsun, and I think I'm just going to need all of that time to rest and recuperate from the stresses of these long teaching days. Yeah, I will talk to you very soon. Thank you all for watching, and till next time. Bye-bye or auf Wiedersehen.